Is it cool with you guys if I actually do a good movie now? Thanks. Black Christmas. Classic. It's actually... Last few movies I've watched been so bad that I almost watch it. Like, it's almost getting me out of the holiday spirit. Black Christmas is a 1974 slasher film. And first of all, I bought this because it's cheap. I hate this cover. I really do. So that's why the thumbnail is going to be this, because I love that cover. Now, of course, it's debatable over what the first real slasher film is. 1974, it is a slasher. It's still definitely the proto-slasher era because it came out the same year as Texas Chainsaw Massacre. But I love Black Christmas. I do. This is my second favorite Christmas horror movie behind Silent Night, Deadly Night. There's a lot about this movie that I really like that you don't really get in any other slashers. And things I don't even think people would really appreciate outside of this film. I mean, the remake is the complete opposite. The 2006 one that I'll be doing next. That is the complete opposite. And when I do that, you'll see why. And people seem to dig what they do with the killer in that one. You know, people like to watch movies that are like investigation discovery. They want to know, why he kills, what gives him a boner, what kind of weather he likes. This is creepier. A slasher film where you don't see the killer, you don't know who he is, you don't know what his deal is. You just see his hands, his feet, up close shots of like his eye peering through like a door crack. Or you get a POV, and it's not a POV shot like Halloween. It's all distorted and like wide angle and almost amateurly shot to make it look like, he's kind of stumbling. What's really great is that this was produced and directed by Bob Clark. Now, 2 years prior to this, Bob Clark did Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things, which I reviewed on this. It's really low budget and cheesy. I really enjoy Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things. But some years later, 82, 83, whatever year it was, Bob Clark also directed A Christmas Story. So, whether Christmas movie or Christmas horror movie, Bob Clark did two of the biggest classics. And then you have the cast. The cast is actually pretty stellar as well. I mean, you have early roles by Margot Kidder. Of course, this was before she was in Superman, way before Amityville Horror. John Saxon, of course, was Nancy's dad in Nightmare on Elm Street. Olivia Hussey is our lead role, Jess. Of course, Olivia Hussey was Mrs. Bates in Psycho 4. Audra in the 1990 version of Stephen King's It. And actually, before this, she was in a very, big production of Romeo and Juliet. So she went from Shakespeare to slasher, which is awesome. This was released kind of early for like a Christmas movie. It was released October 11th of 74. And it's one of the many, many movies that are The Babysitter with the Man Upstairs, urban legend. I mean, 5 years later, we would have got the best example of that, which would have been When a Stranger Calls. The remake of that also sucks. I used to have it, but I got rid of it. The original title was Stop Me. It was made for $620,000. Oh, and awesome. In the United States, it was released on December 20th, 1974. My birthday. Not 74, but December 20th is my birthday. So, it was released then. But it was released under Silent Night, Evil Night. And, of course, it was a profound influence along with Psycho, on John Carpenter for Halloween. And the story is, it opens up with, I love the opening shot. Just the opening shot of the sorority house. It looks 1970s. It's a 70s looking house with the Christmas lights. You got the great 70s Black Christmas like logo. And you get like this disoriented, stumbling, almost kind of fishbowl lens looking kind of POV shot. Guy going into the sorority house. He hides up in the attic. And there's a group of sorority girls, and he starts killing them off one by one. And every time I watch this, I forget Olivia Hussey is the lead, because she is much younger than she was in It. 16 years. But it's not her looks that get me, it's her accent, because she's British, but she has a very different accent. That's what always gives it away for me. But you also in the cast, you have Art Hindle. Bob Clark actually plays the shadow of the killer. Nick Mancuso is the killer on the phone, the voice. Mancuso. I was wondering if he was related to Frank Mancuso, but he's not. Anyway, other people. Andrea Martin, that sounds familiar. Anyway. Keir Dullea. He plays Jess's boyfriend, which there are parts where he is totally trying to do Malcolm McDowell, like when he's playing the piano. But anyway, so the girls in the sorority house, you have Jess, who has her own personal issues. Like she likes Christmas, but she finds out she's pregnant and she wants to get an abortion. You have the girl with the glasses, who's like the intellect. You have Margot Kidder, who's the mouth. And the alcoholic. The open alcoholic. The house mother is the closet alcoholic. And kind of a running gag how she just has booze stashed everywhere. And like, first they get a call. They get all these obscene calls that starts off with heavy breathing. And then start saying some really obscene shit, like, I wanna, you're a juicy cunt, you're my fat cock, pretty much shit that like Reagan would say on The Exorcist. And of course, Margot Kidder's the tough mouth. She tells him off. The first girl to get killed is the one that gets killed with the bag over her head in the closet, and then gets put up in the attic. And the story from then on is that girl's father comes down to look for her, and he's, imagine like the hotel manager on Ghostbusters, like a very proper glasses kind of guy. And of course they have like posters of old ladies giving the finger and people having sex to look like the peace sign. He doesn't want her college to be like boys and drinking. And we keep seeing like the obscene phone calls keep getting more and more frequent. We see an event. It is very slow paced. The kills are far between, but you get a lot of character development, which I think helps. It's not super heavy on the Christmas. Like, the Christmas is the backdrop. It's not a killer Santa. In fact, we don't even really see the killer in person doing the killing, which I think works. In fact, when the house mother gets killed, she's standing on the ladder going up to the attic, and he has this wench with a hook on it, and we usually just see his POV holding it, and then he just lets go, and it comes in, and it's stylized, like it hooks into her, and we see her legs get pulled up the ladder, but we see her later, and like Margot Kidder, she just drinks the whole movie. In fact, there's like a Christmas party with young kids where she's even given a young kid like whiskey, and she thinks it's funny. She keeps, like, when they go to give the missing person report of the girl that got killed, the guy asked for like I think he asked for like the house name, like the address, and she says it's Fellatio. And then she talks about how like turtles fuck for 3 days, zebras are like 30 seconds. So she's like sex obsessed, alcoholic. Everyone gets mad at her. Her death is very stylized. I really like how that's done. She's laying in bed, and the killer, who calls himself Billy over the phone, gets an icicle, and he's like stabbing her, but it's intercut with children Christmas carolers outside, and her, like, she's like flailing in slow motion, but it's like a black backdrop, and there's like a shelf of like glass figurines, or maybe that's what it was. It was a sharp glass sculpture thing that she had. It's very stylized, kind of looks like a music video. Yeah, it's very surreal. I love the way that was shot. Olivia Hussey does do a great job, especially when she's at her wit's end with the phone and like yelling throughout the house. The shots of the killer with the eye looking through the door cracks is very creepy. I really like the ending. And the movie does do a good job. I'm gonna say spoiler alert, even though, if you're a horror fan and horror Christmas movies, chances are this is one of the first ones you saw. But I'm gonna say spoiler alert. But before I say spoilers, again, this is my second favorite Christmas horror movie of all time, and it is one of the defining progenitors of the slasher genre. I think this is miles better than the 2006 Loose remake, which took everything that made this movie interesting and it just fucked it up. And again, if you want to see my thoughts on the 2019 Political Agenda remake, I did a trailer reaction, which is going to be on my Christmas playlist as well. Black Christmas, excellent movie. Love it. Watch it every year. But spoilers. Jess's boyfriend, they do a good job at making him seem like the killer. Which at first it doesn't make sense. Like, why would he be the killer in the first place? But as the film goes on, because he wants to have the baby with Jess, but she wants to abort it. And he finds out the same day he's got this huge, like, piano audition. Of course, he doesn't make it. He smashes the piano. He goes to the house. He smashes a window to get to her. So, good red herring done with him. Again, when he's playing the piano, he looks just like Malcolm McDowell. And of course, John Saxon, Nancy's dad from Elm Street, he plays a cop in this as well. I really like the ending. Jess thinks her boyfriend's the killer, so she, kills him with a fire poker. The cops pretty much say, okay, well, he's the killer, and they put her to rest in the bedroom. One cop stands outside to watch over the place, but they don't know about the bodies in the attic, so the camera just pans out from the attic, and then we just hear the phone start to ring again. It leaves, it really is like it is an evolution of slasher film because it's not entirely everything slasher. It has the body count down. And same thing with The Final Girl, you know. It came out around the same time as Chainsaw Massacre, which Sally in Chainsaw Massacre, she's a final girl, but she's not really the fight back kind. She gets out by chance and luck. This one, her fate is left ambiguous. So then when we finally get to Halloween, we get, you know, Laurie Strode starts to fight back, and beyond that, then Friday the 13th, we get Alice who fucking decapitates Mrs. Voorhees. So the evolution of the slasher film coincides with the evolution of The Final Girl. I love Black Christmas. And it's one of the best titles. I mean, Black Christmas, you know, it sounds like a horror movie. You know what you're going to get with it. You know, other ones are, even though I love Silent Night, Deadly Night, the title and the movie, that is my favorite Christmas horror movie. My favorite Christmas movie. But, you know, other like To All a Good Night, Don't Open Till Christmas, they're kind of cheesy titles. Black Christmas, I would say I like the title more than Silent Night, Deadly Night. I can't stand the remakes. The fact that you don't know you don't even know why the killer's there. It's like he stumbled upon the house and was like, huh. I mean, I guess the phone calls drop subtle hints. Because kind of like New York Ripper, he can change his voice. So it sounds like a young boy and parents and yelling. And we hear like this disassociative sort of phone call with himself. I guess about abuse and whatnot. The remake went full almost Rob Zombie, even though it came out before Rob Zombie's Halloween. About here's his backstory. Here's why he's a fucked up killer. Some people like that. Some people like to have their hand held, walked through, and I guess they feel they're getting a psychology lesson, even though they're not. And, I mean, once in a while, that's great, because Silent Night, Deadly Night is one of those movies. Also, another killer named Billy. That Billy, we see what made him a serial killer. But that movie's done well, as opposed to the remake of this. This movie, I love the look of it. The fact we don't know or see the killer. The way the POV shots are like disjointed, disoriented, and sort of shaky. I do like the performances. I do really like Olivia Hussey as Jess, Margot Kidder as Barb. It was cool seeing John Saxon. You know, it has its humor where it needs to. Like, most of the people are pretty undesirable. You know, like swearing around kids, drinking in front of kids, hating Christmas. And the deaths are well done. My favorite is one with Margot Kidder because of how stylized it is. This is a great Christmas horror movie. And apart from black being my favorite color, that's why I got the black Santa hat. Black Christmas, 1984, which actually, let me do this with respect. With the actual good cover. Black Christmas, 1980, fuck me. Black Christmas, 1974, excuse me. Classic, absolute classic. Next, I'll do the first piece of shit remake. But anyway, it felt good to do a good movie now after those last few shitty ones. But anyway, thank you for watching. And Cynthia Sin, I told you more slasher films were coming. Thank you for watching.